Good evening, I should say good morning, I should say good afternoon. Wherever you are in the world watching this, it's currently at 10:15 UK time because the deadline, people, is around the corner. It's over the horizon. This is FPL. This is the Premier League, and it's back. The international break was a long one, but we're finally back into our FPL mindsets, and this is where we talk about Game Week 30 review and previewing my 11 for Game Week 31. So let's get into it. Before I do talk about my main FPL team, let me just talk about Fantasy Draft, which is a separate game where you can pick a pool of players and you have loads of different options, but the good thing is you can only have one player from each player, basically. So only one manager in that league can own that player. So let me talk about last week in Game Week 30. How did we get on? My first team, A Kiss from a Danny Rose, is a bit of a unfortunate name because that was an absolute stinker of a transfer. Didn't go well going to Watford, but look, still decent week considering the lack of games, I suppose. 22 points for my draft team, 1 from Jose Sarr, nothing from Trent. Obviously, we knew he wasn't playing. Gabriel, 8 points, bonus points, thank you very much. 2 from Cash, 1 from Sice, nothing Rafinha, very frustrating. 1 Ramsey, 2 James, 2 Coutinho, 3 Odegaard, and 2 Tony. So not brilliant, but 22 points nonetheless, and we're still sitting pretty in the league in first position with 1,386 points. Very, very comfortable. So that's good to see in that league. Then moving on to my next draft team in the fantasy draft game, we have got Make Way for the King. That is, of course, Joshua King, but he's not been a king for us this season. But in terms of Game Week 30, how I got on, Ramsdale, 0 points. Very frustrating. We had De Gea, who wasn't having a game, so that's a shame. 2 from Reguilon. Rudiger didn't play. Cody, 1. Tielemans, 2. Salah obviously didn't play. Odegaard, 3. Barnes with a nice little 5-pointer. Ings, 1. Antonio, 1. And Jimenez in my draft team with a -2 sending off. Not what you want to see. But 13 points was how we finished, and we're still very comfortably top in that one as well. By about 100, so actually 1,000, yeah, 1,000 points roughly to see us into the top. The next one, that is Xisco Disco, a bit of an old team name, that one. We're currently sitting in 4th. It's a head-to-head league, and the first right now has got 57 points, and I've got 49, so I'm in there, but I really need to get some good weeks in the next few weeks. So Raya, 1 point, 1 point from Aya, 1 from Sice, 2 from Cash. Ericsson didn't play. James, 2. Lanzini, 2. Lookman didn't play for Brentford, against Brentford for some reason. Iheanacho, 2. And Bamford, 1. So 12 points was an absolute stinker. And then we've also got the team with Ray Qureshi, the very well-known FPL content creator. Watford FC, the team for me, is my team name from that team. And 20 points. Really not great. 1 from Sarr, 1 from Janssen, nothing Kilman because he didn't play. Size 1, Pereira didn't play. Madison, that was my big one. 10 points, thank you very much, love to see it. Kulusevski 2, Coutinho 2, Neves goes off injured, 1 point, and Tony 2, and Diaz didn't play. So 20 points, not great. And finally, in my team with the league with FPL Juice, that is, of course, the great content creators and the FPL juicers. I'm currently second, so I'm second. I'm trying to put the pressure on Nick from FPL Juice, his team Draft Punk. We only scored 8 points less than him last week. I scored 15. Ramsdale, 0, not good. Davies, 2. Johnny, 7, that was a good bring in. Mings, 1. Pinnock, 0. Luis Diaz didn't play. Martinelli didn't play. Kulusevski, 2. Lookman didn't play. Bamford, 1, went off injured, and Watkins as well, 2 points. So really not ideal. But we turn our attention to our draft selections for this week, and then we'll get into the juicy bit, which is, of course, the main FPL game, which we always care more about. But I just thought I'd kind of catch you up on the draft teams. So in my lineup for the first team, that is, of course, A Kiss from a Danny Rose. We're in a commanding position in the lead. We've got Jose Sarr in goal. And we've got Gabriel at the back, Cash against Wolves, Keane with his double game week against West Ham and Burnley, Kulusevski, Rafinha, Ramsey, Coutinho and Odegaard, and then Mopai and Edouard. Now, at the minute, my bench is De Gea, and then Trent Alexander-Arnold is first bench, Tony's second bench, and Seiss is third. Now, Trent could play, sure, he could score goals, but, you know, I'm still very much in the lead in that one. I would imagine Trent misses out of the Watford game, but if so, I've always got, you know, like I've got players on the bench, that's fine. But Trent is going to be first bench for this team because I fancy Mopai against Norwich and Edouard against Arsenal. I don't even think, you know, even with Palace's striker rotation, that's too bad of a game. So that's my draft first team. Then we look ahead to my second team. That was, of course, make way for the king in fantasy draft game. My lineup, we've got in goal Pope with 2 games. He should be a decent shout. Reguilon, obviously a bit of rotation with Sessegnon perhaps, but I think it should be fine. Rudiger, Cancelo should be doing some bits for me, hopefully. Reece James as well. That's a nice back 4. Havertz, Salah, Odegaard, Barnes, and Kevin De Bruyne. And then up top, a man who's been in form, Cucho Hernandez. It might be a tough fixture against Liverpool, but you never know. Ramsdale on the bench. Ings, Cody, and Antonio is the rest of my team. So hopefully a good week for them. Now, to the ones that really have the most importance, this is Shishko Disco sitting in 4th. I really need a win this week in the head-to-head league. And I'm going to be up against, you know, an interesting opposition, I think. You know, I've done pretty well recently, but obviously the last week's points did see me drop down to 4th. So this week I'm up against the player that's currently 7th in the league. Last week they scored 5 points. So obviously that was mainly because of the blank game week, but, you know, they haven't got the best players in their team. You know, they've got the likes of Richarlison. I mean, he is on a double game week, which is unlucky, and they got Sancho and Gundogan and Pogba and people like that, really. But hopefully we can score more points than them this week, because in goal we've got Schmeichel. He's got a double in 33. All right, Man United's not ideal, but you got to think long term. The back 5, Livramento, Cash, Matip, Doherty and Taylor with his 2 games. Havertz as well in midfield. That looks like a really nice pick. Hopefully do well for me in draft. Gordon has got 2 games. Cheapy, obviously there's no concept of money in FPL draft game, but he's got 2 games. Cornet as well has got 2 games against Man City and Everton. I know it's Burnley, but Cornet eventually I think will come good. And then up front, Iheanacho and Ronaldo against each other, but I think they're both good strikers. Then on the bench, Ramsdale, Ericsson against Chelsea. No, I'm not fancying it. James and then Bamford. So, yeah, not a bad lineup to be fair for that team. And hopefully it can beat the team in 7th in that league. Moving on to my team with Ray in the league with Ray Qureshi. Watford FC, the team for me. I've gone for Sarr in goal. Then a back 3 of Laporte, Seiss and Ricardo Pereira. Now, I know you're going to say, why Pereira? But he's just got attacking threat, and I know he might not play, but if so, I've got Kilman off the bench to come in. If not, I've got Janssen, so it's fine. The back 3 is there. So then the midfield, Maddison, Kulusevski, Coutinho, Luis Diaz. That looks pretty nice. So that could be decent. And then Weghorst, Ronaldo, and I'm probably going to bench Ivan Toney, to be fair. That would be probably wise. So actually, I've made a quick change. Kilman is in for Toney. So bench is Ramsdale, Toney, Janssen and Neves. I mean, if, you know, Kilman or Pereira doesn't play, then I'm kind of in the mud. But you never know. Toney might do something. And finally, moving on to my last team. This is quite a big one because I want to catch up Nick from FPL Juice because he's just absolutely bossing it in draft. And I'm hoping this team can be enough to bridge the gap and get me in front. I've got Forster in goal. Leeds have not been doing well recently. Other than the wins against Wolves and Norwich, they've had a poor season. So Southampton have a good chance for a clean sheet there, I think. Taylor, 2 games. Livramento, great attacking threat. He's been this season's Lundstrom and Stuart Dallas. Davies as well against Newcastle. You'd think a clean sheet. Then midfield, Luis Diaz against Watford. But pretty decent fixture. Gray, 2 fixtures. Cornet, 2 fixtures. And Hakim Ziyech could be a really exciting one if he plays. Calvert-Lewin, 2 games. He used to be, you know, goal scorer, and I think there's still that goal scorer in him. West Ham and Burnley for the fixtures, and then Richarlison the same, and then Broja is my third striker because He's got Leeds this week who are very, very leaky, and he doubles in 33, so that's interesting. We'll see what happens there. The bench, Ramsdale, Martinelli. The reason I'm benching Martinelli is because I'd played Diaz and Ziyech over them, and Martinelli did just get COVID or something, or an illness. So, even at Palace, I don't think Palace are that bad defensively. I think Martinelli will probably not do much. If he does, then it's fine. He can come in if we have a rotation strike. And then Johnny and Castagna, who's playing a Man United team, who probably will score. That makes up my team. So that's briefing you up on the FPL draft game. But now let's get to the main part of this video. The reason why you're here, people. Smash a like on the video. It's FPL Yellow Army here. Roberto Hollis giving my team, Backman and Robin, the update from Game Week 30 and then previewing 31. So let's talk through that dreaded blank game week that was Game Week 30. Now, of course, a long time ago, we did preview that blank game week team, and I kind of felt pretty confident because I'd done really well on my wild card, gone lots of green arrows and maximised points, and I had a nice amount. I had 11 starters for Game Week 30 and ended up being 10 because Rafinha didn't play, but we'll touch on that now. So let's talk and see what my points were then from Game Week 30. In goal, we had David Raya because we had the double up of Dubravka and Raya, and obviously Dubravka didn't play in Game Week 30, so I thought maybe there's a chance of something against Leicester, but look, concedes 2 goals, very disappointing. You kind of think, well, at least he played, he got the minutes for playing, but he's just not been getting that many points for me, so it's a bit of a shame. I'm not going to lie, but 1 point, okay, we'll take it on the chin. At least he got something. Doherty, very frustrating. He had chances against West Ham to get forward as well, and you just seem to can't be able to trust that Spurs defence right now, despite the good fixtures. I just don't know where their clean sheets, other than Newcastle perhaps, and maybe Brentford and maybe Norwich, but I just think it's so up and down. You're really frustrated with Doherty that he's not got those attack and returns to supplement any clean sheets. Ben White, 7 points. Thank you very much, Ben White. You have been legendary since I brought you in. I think I brought him in on the wild card in Game Week 29, if I rightly remember. I got him in for that double game week, and he got a nice 8 points, and he got another 7 this week. So really, really nice. Marty, 2 points. Look, it was a Marty. It's just the fact he had a game. That's why he was in part of my 29 wild card, but I just obviously had him as bench fodder, and he comes in for this game against Brentford. They were so close to that clean sheet, and Johan Wissa ruins it. So it is frustrating, but look, he's just a bench fodder. I don't really care. And also, Leicester do double in 33, so he's going to play. Maybe 1 or 2 clean sheets in there. Leicester have been a bit up and down defensively, but they might be starting to turn a corner. Then Son, 15 points. Absolutely love that from Heung-min Son. He's been frustrating the last few weeks to own, but that was brilliant against West Ham. Lovely haul from Son. 15 points. Thank you very much. Saka, 11 points. Love it. What a player he is, and I'm so happy I stuck with him over the December period and didn't get pulled in by Martinelli or by Smith Rowe, who are just not as good of an option. But Saka's really, really done well this season, and nice goal against Villa. Got the bonuses. You can't really complain. Rafinha, very frustrating. There was news of it on the Friday night in the Wolves game, and I just didn't know if it was concrete enough. It was like Rafinha could start, but at the same time, he could also not be in the squad. It was just so hard to verify it. And, if I'd have moved to get Maddison, I wouldn't have actually been able to afford it. I would have afforded Barnes because I had, I think, 0.2 to get someone in. But look, at the end of the day, I felt like rolling the transfer because I knew that Game Week 31 was a double. And I thought, let's think about, if I want to take any big hits in 31. I don't really want to go past the -4. So, look, it'd be nice to have that one of those 2 free transfers for 31. So then, it's just a shame we didn't change Rafinha. But look, we had no reason to. It was a good fixture. Rafinha, okay, he's been a bit frustrating to own, but he got that assist against Norwich. But he certainly has to go for me very, very soon. He's just not been the asset we all think he looks most of the time. He just doesn't get the FPL points, and he's got 2 good fixtures coming up. So, it's been the most frustrating player to own, but still has to just stay in there for a bit longer. Ramsey, 1 point. look, bit of a shocker, really. It just the week that I bench him in that week that he played against West Ham, and then I play him this week and he gets 1 point and obviously scored in that week I benched him. So really frustrating one to own. He's just one of those players, Ramsey, who's, because he's bench fodder, he's not one you start all the time, and that does sometimes make you really unlucky when you don't play him on the right weeks. Obviously, I had to play him this week because he one of the few games with players with a game, but yellow card, blank. At the end, same time, it's at the cost of, that it would have been at the Arsenal defensive clean sheet. So it's pros and cons, but I don't think I can complain too much, considering there were some people getting minus points from Jimenez this week. The front two, though, I think it was a front two. Was it a front three? Let's find out. It was a front three, yeah. In the season where strikers have been awful, I still am playing a front three. Who knows why? But Harry Kane, absolute legend. Now, of course, Son did outscore him, but look, I'm still so happy with that decision. And to own Kane as well. A lot of people who captain Son don't own Kane. I think that's just going to really bite them in terms of rank. So I'm really glad to own Kane, really glad to captain Kane. He's just been so consistent and lovely to 2 assists. 3 assists, I should say. 2 bonuses, I meant. And that is just really, really great to see. Son and Kane, the great duo that they are, and they're both bigging hauls. And I'm just so confident on captain and Kane these weeks. So it's really, really good to see that faith repaid. Lacazette, 2 points, disappointing. I thought he would do something against Villa. It's very, very quiet. I don't know. He's a very good player and he gets the assists, but he doesn't really get the goals. So I'm wondering, is it worth 8.4 million to be tied up in him, despite the fact he's got a fixture in 33 in that double? But then you'd also say, they've got other players in strikers that have got doubles in 33 that are saving a lot more money. So it's a difficult one, but still, he's a decent option. There's not much choice for forwards at this point. So, if you change it around, it doesn't really make much of a difference. Ivan Toney, 2 points, very, very frustrating. Most transferred in player from Game Week 30 from every FPL manager. And look, at the end of the day, it was just very frustrating when you see that team news. Eriksen not there. The creativity behind him is not there. And Toney is such a frustrating one. A bit like Ramsey. The week I bench him, he gets 2 goals against Burnley. And the week I play him, he does absolutely naught. So, yeah, very, very good game week. 69 points. Love that. In a game week where a lot of people were scrambling around to even get, past the 40 mark, to get 69 without using a chip. A lot of people, if they got a really successful free hit, would get the likes of 70, 75 points. So I'm absolutely buzzing with that. A game week rank of 453,289. And in terms of where we've kind of gone to, and when I say where we've gone to, I mean kind of what progress we've made, what kind of rank change that has actually caused. So let me talk to you about that. We have, in fact, gone up by a nice considerable amount, 34,511. So that, my friends, is another green arrow for our team. I mean, we have had so many green arrows, it's actually mad. So since game week 15... it's just been brilliant. We've only had 1 red arrow, and that was game week 28, and we won't talk about that because of a certain someone that goes by the name of Rudiger, who didn't do anything as captain, and then Willock and Adams were nightmare transfers. But we've moved on since then, and another green arrow. That is brilliant to see. So now we're up to probably the highest rank I've been in pretty much all season, 127,941, which is getting closer. It's getting closer to our end of season goal of 100k. We've only finished inside the top million once, and that was last season, 267k. So we're really pushing the boundaries here, and I would just love to get into that top 100k because, we started the season really well with that 107. Then we dropped massively around game week 9 and 10, and we were looking at a rank of around 987k, and that was really, really awful. Look, at least we've never gone into the 1 million, but look, it's been a bit of a up and down season for many reasons. COVID, cancellations, all these things. So in a turbulent season, if I could finish that top 100k like I wanted at the start of the season, then I'd be absolutely buzzing. Ultimately, that's all we want, green arrows, and there's been great progress shown. Since game week 10 to game week 30, I've gone up by about 101,000. So you really can't complain with that. And Total points 1,941. So yeah, look, I can't complain at all. We rolled the transfer. We've got 2 for this week, so that's really nice. And I've still got, free hit for 33 or 36 or even 37. And I've still got my bench boost. So, using the free hit in 30 was not necessary for me. And it's still done really well, that wild card. In 29, that was when I activated it. And, in 2 game weeks, it's got me 177 points. So, yeah, we will love that. 15th green arrow in the past 16 game weeks. We beat the average, which was 28, I should say. Beat that by 41 with, obviously, 69. And Ben White, just absolute legend. Bonus point magnet. So we really like that game week. And we move on to game week number 31. That's right. So I haven't shown you what transfers I've made. I'm going to show you straight away. This is the team reveal. Boom! Thank you very much. Now let me talk through these transfers. As I say, I had 2 free transfers after last week's really nice green arrow. And I was thinking, what should we do here? We've got options. Reece James, my friend, you were one that I really regretted not bringing in 28. We went for Rudiger. He did nothing, then didn't play the second game. And we then sold Rudiger again because we had to bring in a little bit of... who was it we brought in? Amati, was it? No, hang on. I'm trying to think. No, we wildcarded in 29. That's right. So we wanted to get off our Chelsea assets because they weren't playing in 30 on the wildcard. And obviously, it really went well because Matip absolutely bossed it in that 29 assist. Great clean sheet. And then again, another good return in the game against Leeds. So I was absolutely loving it. I've got to say, Leeds, why did I say Leeds? I mean to say whoever they played in 29. I can't even remember now. Let me check for you people. Oh yeah, Arsenal, that was it. He got a 7-pointer again. So yeah, he's been brilliant for me, Matip. And he's, very cheap, great value. You love to see it. And I don't need those big hitters all the time. But big at the back is starting to become more of a thing now because defensively, we want to get these attacking fullbacks like your likes of Trent, like your likes of Reece James. And the strikers are just so poor that it's probably better to play 2 up top or even 1 up top with just Harry Kane and play like a 4-5-1 or a 4-4-2. We're playing the 4-4-2 this week, and let me talk you through those transfers. So yeah, 2 transfers free coming into this. So I had a few options. I had 0.2 in the bank, which didn't give me a lot to play with, but I thought about it and thought, well, my goalkeeping situation to begin with, we had David Raya, who has been in brilliant form at the start of the season, right, for Brentford. There was that little patch where he was looking really good, and that's why I thought, yeah, he might still be a good option. I brought him in on part of the wild card because of the fact he played in 30. But Brentford have been really, really poor the last few games, and their fixtures do not get any better. So that, my friends, I feel like was an error, but not as a goalie that I'd be willing to start, right? So he's got some good fixtures, just he's sprinkled with some awful fixtures also. So that was one where, I kind of get why I did it. It had a fixture, but he wasn't really a goalie that I want to put my faith in every single week. So then I have Dubravka. Obviously, that was on the 29 wild card, and that was so frustrating. The 1-0 defeats to Everton and Chelsea in succession was so gutting. And then I see that Dubravka picks up an illness. Now, fair enough. He's come out, Eddie Howe, and said it's likely, not certain, but likely that he will be back for the Spurs game on Sunday, as will Fabian Schär. But Dubravka against Tottenham and Raya against Chelsea. I don't really want to have that kind of fixture problem. And look, arguably, right, with an illness, you think, okay, there might be a chance he doesn't play. But also, he's got, all right, fair enough, a double in 33. But I need to work out my chip strategy because am I going to bench boost? Am I going to free hit in 33 or 36? We still don't know. But ultimately, what we do know is Dubravka's fixtures aren't the best, whereas Forster's fixtures are pretty good. And also, he is just as good as Dubravka because he doubles in 33 too. So if by some chance we chose to not free hit in that week and bench boost instead, Forster has got 2 games. So it's written in the stars. Now, I know what you're going to say. It's Fraser Forster. He's not exactly glamorous as a goalkeeping option. I get that. And I get that Southampton have had goalkeeping changes in the past. I think Forster is nailed, though. McCarthy has not played for ages. I think he's been out injured, and Caballero has been out injured. So look, that's fine. I'm absolutely no problem with that. Now, the last clean sheet was in 27 against Norwich, as you'd expect. Now, okay, Watford and Newcastle, those games you kind of would expect more clean sheets. But what you've also got to think about is the fact that the fixtures coming up are very nice. And for that price, you just think, why not? 31 Leeds, very nice. Then a double, and that includes Burnley, who are very, very goal shy, apart from a certain man I will talk about. Then we've got Brighton, Palace, Brentford. So good fixtures to end the season, and he's very cheap. If I had to fork out loads of money for another goalie, then I wouldn't be able to get Reece James. And I think Reece James or Andy Robertson or Joao Cancelo are players you need to build your team around, because they are the attacking fullbacks that we want. I get that there's been a bit of an issue recently with goalkeepers. There hasn't been a massive choice. But if I'm already on Dubravka, and Dubravka, has not got the best fixtures coming up and possible illness, why not move straight to Forster? Doesn't cost you anything extra, and also doubles in 33. So it makes sense for me. Leeds away, good fixture for Fraser Forster. I think, it's a win-win situation for me, because either Rafinha does a massive haul in that game, which is unlikely because he's been in poor form, or that's a Southampton clean sheet. So, you can't complain. Now, obviously, there could be a scenario where it's 1-1 and Rafinha doesn't return. But look, at the end of the day, with those fixtures, you've got to back it. So Fraser Forster, not glamorous, I get it, but for what I need right now in my team, it's enough and it works. So then moving on, we've got White against Palace. Now, this is a good fixture. I don't know if it's definitely a clean sheet, but Arsenal defensively have been so much better this season. So I'm willing to go for it. And Arsenal double in 33. So it's good to have one or two of their players in your team. Matip, Watford. Look, I'm not going to lie. I think that is a game of damage limitation. We probably will lose. And Liverpool probably keep a clean sheet. And Matip has been actually a bit more attacking the last few weeks. So on a corner, we are so bad at set pieces. I think Matip is one we should watch out for and hopefully keep quiet from Watford's point of view. But look, if I'm realistic about it, Liverpool are a very good team from set pieces. Robertson is so good at swinging them in. So let's just see how that goes. But I think that Matip is an interesting one this week. James against Brentford. Brentford have been so leaky, as I mentioned. So that is perfect for Reece James. He's back in training. He's back to fitness now. And, Chelsea, you'd argue, compare them to Manchester City. Which one's got more to play for? Of course, it's Manchester City with their last 8 games. And, they're obviously in the title race. But what I will say with Man City is they've got so many games. Now, Chelsea the same, right? Chelsea have got the Champions League and the FA Cup, which is the same for Man City. But who rotates more, Pep or Tuchel? Well, that's the Tuchel Tombola versus the Pep Roulette. There's not much in it, but Reece James has got so much attacking threat. Now, Cancelo could easily score against Burnley. I get that. But, I need to find a way of getting players that are high upside, but also affordable. And Reece James was that. Cancelo was a bit more expensive. Now, of course, I could move, if Trent got injured, I could move to a Joao Cancelo. But I'm not too keen on Man City right now. I think we need to see what happens after Liverpool. Because let's say City lose to Burnley. I know that's not going to happen. But then they would massively go for the Liverpool game. All right, they put all their strongest players out for that. But even then, what are Chelsea going to prioritise? They're going to prioritise the Champions League or the Prem. Probably the Champions League. But Reece James, he's still their strongest player. So they don't want to lay down and roll over this season. They still want to finish well. And Reece James, I feel like he's just a bit more nailed. Especially you compare it to Cancelo, the fact that Cancelo, all right, he only played 1 game in the international break, but Walker is suspended. So he'll be playing definitely in the games for the Champions League. Sorry, not in the Champions League, or either way. So the point is, Cancelo's probably going to be saved for the Champions League. I don't know. It's an interesting debate, but I just think James, I didn't bring him in 28. Might as well do it now. And Brentford are probably a bit more leaky right now than Burnley. I don't know. It's a difficult one, but you also think about Cancelo's got Liverpool in 32, whereas James has got Southampton. So you really can't complain with that. Now, moving on to Trent Alexander-Arnold. He has been the big injury worry for this game week for a lot of managers. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. I'm not going to lie. It was like, yep, he's out of Watford, maybe back for City. Oh no, actually he will be back for Watford. Oh no, actually he won't be. Oh, actually no, he will be back in training. But is that enough for being back at Watford? Now, it's so inconsistent. It's so unfair because these late things in injuries just confuse your brain and you just can't decide what to do. I thought about going from Trent to Robbo, but I just think that's not really going to solve much. For maybe 1 week, that'll make a transfer, and then I'll have to want to get Trent back. So some people benching him, okay, fair enough, but I've got the bench to actually allow for it, right? So I'll play Trent. If he plays, massive upside against Watford, who are just, as I know, very leaky. And if he doesn't, so be it. 3 at the back, that's absolutely fine. Ramsey can come in for a nice fixture against Wolves, and we're not complaining one bit. So that looks pretty decent. Son against Newcastle. He loves scoring against Newcastle, and after last week's good performance against West Ham, he'll be full of confidence. Interesting that in the World Cup draw, Portugal gets South Korea, so that'll be interesting. Ronaldo up against Son. But look, ultimately, Son is one of Spurs' most, explosive on his day players, and Newcastle, they might still be likely to stay up, but they are defensively a bit all over the place at the minute. Saka, Palace. Saka's in great form. Palace defensively aren't amazing all the time, and Saka's going to be in confidence. Rafinha has to do something. Southampton, I just mentioned with Forster how he has been a bit not great recently, but I think Forster, if anything, even if Rafinha scores, will get the save points. Like, he's been making a lot of saves recently. And Rafinha, if he doesn't play because he's still got, COVID, I don't think so, though. I think he's returned. That's fine, because Ramsey can come in, right? So there is nice options for me here. There's Rafinha with a good fixture. There's Forster with a good fixture. Let's see which one comes out on top. But ultimately, Rafinha is still good to hold for these last 2 games, because especially when McCarthy was playing for them, they'd conceded a lot of goals at the start of the season. That defence is not perfect. And then after that, Leeds have got Watford, and I don't want to back against my own team, but really, we are pretty poor. So defensively, that is something to keep hold of Rafinha for. Salah captaincy, don't overthink it. He loves playing us. I could go with Kane, but I think Salah's going to be angry after getting knocked out in the World Cup playoff against Senegal, and he just runs the show against Watford, and it might be the early kickoff. You know what they say, never back the early kickoff for captaincy. But Gandhi did say, as part of a clause in that rule, that if it's Salah, then you can ignore the clause, because Salah is Salah. He is an absolute machine this season, by far, and every single way you can describe it. Salah's the best player in FPL this season. So just don't overthink it. We have been awful defensively. Kane, okay, could get big points against Newcastle, sure, but with a home game against Watford, come on, you would think it. I don't want to keep dissing my team, but come on, we have been awful at Anfield over the years. Weghorst, 2 games, City and Everton. Right, the reason I brought in Weghorst is 2 games in 31, then Norwich, thank you very much, 2 games in 33. And he could even get 2 games in 34. So that's if, of course, Villa get their game rearranged. And I'm thinking about Ramsey. Now, obviously, if I do free hit in 33, then I won't have to sell Ramsey. If I bench boost, then I will. But then also, if they get confirmed 34 double, then I'll be in a difficult spot if I bench boost, because I'll be bench boosting a player, who's not got a fixture, because I need them for 34. But then if I sell them, then I haven't got them for 34. So I'm benching Ramsey this week based on the fact that he's not been in the most consistent form, but he could do something in that 34 fixture if I keep him by then. But, chances are my team will move on. But Weghorst, look, he's the Vegasaurus, right? Vegasaurus Rex, I honestly think he could be decent. And this is why, because he gets overhyped, I know, but at the end of the day, it's Vegasaurus Rex. Just go with it.
What is that?
So I get what you're saying. He's let you down once. Why would you go back there? I get it, right? It's Wout Weghorst. He's not been brilliant for our teams. But at the same time, he's got 2 games. He's got another 2 games. And the forwards aren't really that inspiring. I do sell Lacazette with regret. I get it. But it was the only way I could do it to afford James and to change up the goalie, which was probably needed. So I think it makes sense. Wout Weghorst, you've let me down once in that double game week 27. Don't do it again, please. Now, I know that you're going to say, oh, well, it's only 1 game, really, because Man City. Yeah, okay, fine. But think of it as this. It's at least 4 points, which is a return, i.e. an assist, and 59 minutes for any other player with a single game week. So you're already getting some points. Obviously, if you get sent off, then fine. But my point is, City, okay, they'll keep it tight. Weghorst, he's going to be coming good. Like, he was so good at Wolfsburg. And, you know, we've seen in the past, like, Palace have beaten Man City. You know, there's been some shocks. So I'm not saying Burnley win. I hope they don't because of Watford's sake. But look, Weghorst. Wout Weghorst, he's decent. Not for FPL recently, but as a player, he's decent. Then Harry Kane, vice captaincy. Very, very nice to own him right now. And to own him, Son, Salah, and James, and Trent is a nice luxury to have. So, yeah, he's going to be my vice captain against Newcastle. As I mentioned with Son, just they're looking quite leaky at the minute, the Magpies. The back 4, though, I say back 4, the bottom 4 on the bench, Raya, Ramsey, Tony with a tough fixture, and Amati, obviously very, very tough fixture. So that is my team locked in for 31. Hope you have enjoyed my review and preview, and obviously, you know, the Weghorst vibes, we're going for it again. That's what FPL is all about, having a bit of fun, being a bit maverick, and actually, you know, just playing the game. There's no point being boring, no point going template. Sometimes you got to shake it up a little and see where that leaves you, because we've had a good game week last week. We've got a good rank. We're in a good position. Let's see if these moves can really spring us up the leaderboard. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.